Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Daniel Garza podcast. I'm here with a very special guest. This is the second time on the episode, my lovely wife, Sierra Garza.
Hi, it's good to be back.
That's it. So our first episode did really good, and um, it's been a minute since I've had a guest, and she's been really wanting to come back on. So uh, we prepared an episode, and here it is. So today's topic is going to be on parenting. The first subject is what we've learned, where we're currently at, and what we're working towards. What would you say is something that you've learned being a parent?
I would say no day is the same. Not all kids are the same. So just because we've learned from our daughter, she's now 4 years old. We have twins who are soon to be 2 years old next month. And I feel like we're still learning. Like we just pretty much learn as you go, as long as you know how to pivot and just keep going. I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I'm very happy that we had our daughter first because she definitely taught us a lot of patience, and it very
Yes,
much prepared us for our
absolutely.
twins. Obviously, not in the same way, but we kind of knew what to prepare for with the next one. Not unfortunately, but um, unexpectedly, it ended up being two. And
We always say it. I used to say, like, I wish our daughter was a twin, right? And then when we had her, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God she was not a twin because it was hard. I feel like we really didn't prepare, becoming parents, but then I really think it comes with just experience. Like, people can give you all the advice they can, but experience is really what teaches you. And I think we've come a long way, especially after the twins.
yeah, for sure. And then, like you said, not every night's the same, not every day is the same, but it's just learning and adjusting, and seeing what kind of habits they're picking up, trying to break any bad habits that we see, and just trying to correct them on the spot, and just preparing them for the future, because we don't want to wait too late and then say, oh man, I wish I would have corrected that earlier. Now it's really out of hand, and like, shame on us, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of working together, trying to figure out a balance, and trying to just be the best parents that we can be, for our kids, because we want them to be leaders in the future, and we want them to you know have a positive influence in the world. So it starts with us, and what they see from us and how they grow is how they're going to be in the future.
And I guess I'll go over the first point.
Okay.
So, going over our first point is we are first, like we're first husband and wife, but we're also parents. So we do have, different roles. But the main thing is that we are a team. Therefore, we do need to be on the same page. That could be for discipline. It could be for teaching them values, creating healthy habits like brushing their teeth, getting dressed, things like that, especially for our 4 year old. I feel like we're in this season, or I guess she's in this stage where she's like a sponge. She's picking up everything, not just what we say, but what we do. And it really is showing us that we have to be good leaders, but we have to lead by example. Like you can't just say like do as I say, but don't do as I do. You have to lead by example. So, do you want to go with the first page?
Actually, I was going to touch on that because you said we are husband and wife first, and it's very new for us because growing up, we both of us had our parents weren't together. You like you didn't have your father, and I didn't have my father, at least for the most part of my life, until I was around middle school age. But yeah, so we didn't really see growing up what it was to have that
Dynamic.
yeah, that dynamic with husband, wife, mother, father. We didn't really see that growing up. So
We're learning.
yeah, so we're continuing to learn, and we're continuing to, improve. It's a constant work for us ourselves, finding patience with each other, and just trying to be the best parents that we can be, because like you said, like, or we didn't have that growing up. So
Yeah.
um yeah, let me read the first verse, which is from Proverbs 22 verse 6. It says, direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. Which is, pretty much what we were saying. We want them to be good leaders. We want them to, learn from us, not, you know listen to what we say, not what we do, type of stuff like that. So
And we also want to, like, we want them to be leaders, but we want them to grow up knowing and believing that they can make a difference in this world. We want to teach them good values, which our number one value is our faith. We want to raise them up in church, which we've done a good job, with all three of our children so far. And so we're teaching them these values. We're teaching them how to be kind, how to be loving, how to be, caring, sharing, even with the stranger. Like there's times where we've left Target or something and we see like, someone on the side of the road asking for money, or a homeless person just with a sign. And if we have change, or if we have snacks, if we have food, we will pull over and we will give it to them. And usually, like for you, we, at the time at Chili's, like you'll stop and you'll pray for someone, or you'll ask someone like, hey, like, do you have a ride? Like, I think we don't do that. We don't, post anything like that. We don't, like, this is not like done publicly, but things that we do in private, our children are seeing. Like, of course, like I'm so inspired by you when you do these things, because I don't tell you to do it. You just do it out of your heart. And our kids also see that. There's a time where we were going to go pick up a curbside, and I saw this man pushing a cart, and I went back home. I had all this extra food I made and gave him a Tupperware full of food. And as soon as we pulled off, our daughter was like, mommy, like you gave the man food and we blessed him, like it really warmed my heart, because I didn't even think about it. I wasn't thinking of what we're teaching her, but she's paying attention. And it just makes you feel really good, especially in those moments.
yeah. Um, so our next point is lead by example. Children will follow what you do. What you say matters, but you need to lead by example. Examples like how you speak. Do you curse? Do you use good manners? Do you yell when you're angry or frustrated? Parenting will also reveal how our upbringing was as a child. And it's like I said in my or not my last episode, but one of the other episodes about family is, I don't want to be somebody that complains about the future generation, and back in my time things weren't like this. I want to set the standard so my kids can be future leaders. Somebody that I look to them and can say, man, I'm really proud of them. They're really good leaders. They almost, in a sense, they influence me. If it gets to that point, I will know that my job here is done.
Hmm. Another thing, leading by example, is we're teaching our 4-year-old how, good manners, how to be kind. And I have to constantly, not constantly, but we have to constantly remind each other, like, oh, someone sneezed. What do we say? Because, like, it's such a habit. Like, how many times do you not tell your spouse, bless you? And if you sneeze around your daughter, your 4-year-old, and they're like, oh, mommy, you didn't say bless you, where are your manners? And I'm like, oh, you're right. So that's something that I've been convicted on, because I'm like, ooh, I need to work on my manners. And for you, leading by example could be also how you speak. Sometimes you might say something on accident, and then we have little ears around us, even our almost 2-year-olds. So they're learning, they're talking more, and we have to be very careful, like what we're saying, what we're doing. We have sponges around us. And just because we think no one's watching, our children are watching and they're learning.
Do you want to read the next one?
The next verse?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is in Ephesians 6:4. It says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. And do you want me to read the next one too?
Sure.
The next verse we had in here is Proverbs 13:24. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. For the first one about fathers not provoking your children, I think I'll share my thoughts on that verse and then you can definitely chime in. But I think it's saying like bring them up with discipline and instruction. Another translation will say like bring them up with encouragement. I think I don't know if it's just our generation or if it's just a father thing, but I think fathers or even men just want to be tough on kids and push kids, do their best, and it's all from good intention. It's from a good heart posture. It's not from like to be mean or cruel, like you mean well. But I think sometimes we have to be careful with our children because they might not understand, oh, daddy's joking or daddy's being silly or I think we have to be very careful and like it says, bring them up with discipline. So, discipline them, be a little tough on them, but also with instruction. That comes from the Lord. And if this is something that any parent is struggling with, I would highly encourage you to pray about it, to ask for discernment about it, to even reach out to friends. I reached out to friends, like that. There's a book called The Five Love Languages of Children. It's by Gary Chapman. And actually read the book on an audiobook from the library called Libby. So there are resources and tools out there. Sometimes it takes a little bit of what's that word? Humility to reach out for help because sometimes we could be prideful. And I'm not saying that's you or I, but I think sometimes people feel like if they ask for help, it almost feels like they don't have it figured out. And I think that's far from the case. Like for me, I'm a sponge. I want to learn as much as I can. I know I don't know it all. And if, learning about this book, it was really just teaching us how to interact with our kids, how they want to be loved. And it just really like opened my eyes to a lot of different, techniques and tools that we can use as parents.
Yeah. And, I just want to touch on what you said, because you said discipline and instruction. It's okay, fathers, to be hard on your kids. It's okay to, um, be the enforcer. But, you also kind of got to have that balance. I mean, like, you can be like, when you get home and a mom says, hey, kids have been acting up, you need to set them straight. You go in there, you set them straight, and then you talk to them. You say, hey, why did it get to this point? What can we do to improve? And, just, reaffirming them that you do love them, that you do care about them, that you're not just, the big bad wolf that, as soon as you get home, you're huffing and puffing.
Mm,
You want to be, you want to be kind of the balance in the house. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good one.
especially if mom's home all day with them, you want to be, somebody that comes in, gets control back, and then, also, shows love to your kids because your kids need that. They want to know that, dad loves us. He's not just, every time he comes home, he's just there to, whoop ass.
Are
But,
we preaching that? Oh my
but, yeah,
goodness.
yeah, it's it's okay to be tough, but it's okay to also show love too.
Yes. And I think that's a good point. It's okay to be tough, but also show love. So when you're disciplining, I always remind you, sometimes we remind each other, like, hey, remember to tell after you're disciplining your child, tell them you love them, reaffirm them. If they love hugs, you give them a hug. If they prefer kind words, you tell them how proud, like whatever speaks to your child, because most of us have children that are watching. Some of them are in the same age group, some of them are in different ages. We're in different seasons of life. Like there's so many different dynamics to our families. So really the parents, you're going to know your child best. And I would also encourage you to study your child. Like, okay, just because I might love acts of service, like when you do something for me that makes me feel loved, that does not mean, you receive the same type of love. Like yours could be physical touch, hugs, kisses, just like, what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be anything too like crazy, but for your children, it could be what's time?
Words of
Quality time, words of affirmation. It could be physical touch. You know, babies, they love hugs, they love kisses. They constantly give us hugs and kisses. So we kind of, but at their age, it's kind of hard to tell. But our toddler, we can kind of see like, okay, she needs more quality time, or she needs physical touch, she needs a hug, or she need, you know. So whatever speaks to your child, make sure that your child is constantly feeling loved. And that's what I'm really like when we're disciplining, or when, you know, someone's acting up. I'm like, okay, what is missing? Are they hungry? Are they, you know, did something happen, or do they need a little bit of attention? Is that why they're acting out? So it's kind of had me, like, the book, reading that book really kind of had me looking into parenthood from a different perspective, a perspective that I never had, you know.
yeah. So our next point is discipline is not only necessary, but it's also biblical. We don't discipline our children because we are annoyed by them or we are frustrated with their actions. We discipline because we love them. We want them to learn from their choices. When we discipline, make sure that your children's emotional love tank is full, that you're giving them a hug or reaffirming them that we love them. It's in those high end it's in those high end moments when our children need that the most.
Hmm. Those heightened moments. Yeah, I think that was a typo. Sorry.
It's all right.
We can accept that.
No, yeah, we'll find good. Mm,
Imagine if he did it. It's funny. Um, did you have anything to say on that, babe? I don't want to hog the mic.
no, go for it. If you got something to say, go for it.
Um, I think uh just touching back to like discipline is necessary. We're not necessarily talking about like the physical discipline. It could be timeouts, it could be, you know, what we're doing. I think for me, maybe a lot of parents can also relate, is that we used to do the negative reinforcement. If you don't brush your teeth, you're not gonna, I don't know, you're not gonna get to watch a show today. Like, that's negative, right? We're trying to do positive reinforcement. We're trying to, like, you know what? Okay, every time you say please and thank you, you're gonna get a sticker on your reward chart. So we're trying to really reinforce like positive, at least for me, like it's really been helping. Even for you, like we're kind of like, okay, where's the stickers? And we reward our toddler. And so that's really been helping for us. Of course, that does not mean that we don't discipline. We still very much do, but we kind of like plan it like, okay, is that timeout? Is that going to be, you know, a spanking or whatever it needs to be? Sometimes you just really need to kind of like check in with one another, because we have to be on the same page. Like, if you do something and I'm like, oh, I didn't agree with that, like, hey, you didn't, we will tell each other. But then we never want this to be like an argument between us, because again, it comes back to we're the same team. Like, we're not
Mhm.
opponents, you know? And I think we constantly have to remind each other of that.
Right, right, and like as far as discipline, it's like your children are forever changing, they're forever growing,
Yes.
so it's about finding what works. If spankings ain't working, maybe try a different method. If timeouts aren't working, go back to spankings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just about finding what works, what gets them to, flip that
Yes.
switch that says, okay, mom and dad are serious. Like I need to, get back in line. I need to, you know, fall in line, so to speak. But, you know, it's just about finding what works. And like you said, our children, our daughter really loves the sticker,
Mhm.
method where
It's a good
it's like
method.
the more good things she does, especially without asking or without us asking her,
Yeah.
the more rewards, the more stickers she gets, and then she gets a reward at the end of however many stickers it takes to get a reward. It
Yes.
just gets her that much faster, and for her, she you can really see like her eyes light up when she's like, "Oh, I did something good,"
Yes.
and then sometimes she'll just throw it out there. Do I get a sticker? And it's like, "Whoa, you didn't
Yeah.
you didn't do
We
nothing."
have to.
You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it's just about learning. It's a constant learning curve, trying to figure out how to be children, or
Be
how to
parents.
parent your children. And then what stage that your children are at right now. I mean, my son right now, it's funny because I'll try to discipline him if he does something, and I'll, try to give him a little spanking, and he'll just turn around and try to spank me. And it's like, that's not,
Yeah.
it's like, it's just funny, but
We try to put them in timeout.
yeah, try to give them,
They don't
try to
know
put them
it.
in,
Like, yeah.
try to get them back in
You're not
line, and
two yet, but
yeah,
still, it's like we're still learning,
yeah,
even though we have a 4-year-old, 4.5-year-old, it's more like every child's gonna respond differently. Like what's working for one twin might not work for the other twin. So we have to like, okay, that's not working. Let's try something else. But that's a good point, babe.
yeah. Do you have anything else?
Um, let me think. Hmm. I don't think so. I think this might be for some moms, but your identity is not just in motherhood, parenthood. You're still a wife, you're still a friend, you're still a sister, a daughter. I think a lot of first time mamas, at least just like me, when I was a first time mom, I think we get caught up in mom life and we almost forget about the hubby or we forget about extended family. And I think it's a balance. It's a balance I'm still learning. Basically 4.5 years into parenthood, but I think yeah, I think we just have to constantly pivot whatever season you're in. But it looks like you're texting.
I'm looking up some. It's all
Okay.
right.
Yeah, constantly pivot whatever season you're in and make sure like you and your spouse are on the same page. You never want to say like, okay, you know what? That's timeout. And then when dad gets home, boom, that's a spanking. And it's like, whoa, like I thought we were doing timeout first. So I would say staying on the same page, constantly keep communication open, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You never know if a friend might be going through the same challenges, that your child's going through and you're going through. And we're all here just to help each other out. We're all learning together. Like truly, nobody has it all figured out. And if it seems like they do, they don't. So, yeah, that's all I got. Do you have anything to say, babe?
Um,
Did you find it?
yeah. So I was just looking up some, and it's there's a statistic. It says studies show that studies suggest a strong connection between a father's religious practice and his children's religious development, with research indicating that if a father is the primary spiritual leader, there's a higher likelihood that his children will also be religious or
Is there a percent?
spiritual leaders. I was looking for that, but I couldn't find it right
Oh, right there.
now.
I,
No, no, that's not it.
no. I've heard of this phrase before, but it was basically like if a mother alone is leading a home by herself, like let's say raising your children in church, 17% of the time the children will remain in church or they'll remain true to their values, their upbringing. But when a father is leading the home, and father's leading well, it's like a higher chance, like 83% or something like that. And so it just really shows that fathers do have like they have mothers and fathers, they both have great roles. One's not better than the other, but a father does have a very vital role when it comes to being a leader in the family. So that's a really good point, Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I think it's a good place to end. Well, guys, thank you so much for having my wife here as a special guest. It's been great for me. I always enjoy these episodes. Getting to have a full-on conversation with somebody,
yeah, it's
especially
fun.
my wife,
Oh,
and just talking about parenthood, talking about our marriage. It's been great. If you like this episode, check out the other episode with my wife. It was very good. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. This has been the Daniel Garza podcast, and we're out.